I want to say that I think one of the ways in which the ordinary members of the public really do fail in their responsibility for vigorous democratic participation is our misplaced sense of loyalty to a leadership that is of the same color. Too often we decide to mute our criticism, our rightful criticism of policies in the belief that we're going to do harm to a black man. I don't think anyone, here, my position, I want to make my position very clear to everyone. We do not owe an allegiance to people who do not owe an allegiance to us.
Absolutely.
It is reciprocal.
Absolutely.
It is mutual. And it doesn't matter. This is true whether you're black, white, Latino, anything in between. The American public does not owe its fealty to corrupt leaders. And we need to more vigorously denounce them whenever we suspect, or at least raise the question whenever we suspect that our leadership has, gone awry and is not acting in accordance with their public responsibilities. Now, this is important, everyone, because I want to say that one of the ways in which Mayor Thomas has sought to blunt the criticism that has been unloosed as a result of these charges is by insisting that the crimes that he's accused of had no reflection on the performance of his duties while in office. And I want to just forcefully rebut that claim, because one of the charges that has been made against the mayor is that he has failed to adhere to the financial disclosure laws, which required that he give an honest and open accounting of his expenditures while he was in office. So it's not just that the mayor, in his capacity as a politician, siphoned off money that he wasn't supposed to, but rather he also did not act in the sense of transparency, in accordance with the principles of transparency that he said would be one of the guideposts of his administration when he was on the election trail. And in that sense, it has muddied the waters with regard to the epic battle that we have been waging over the past 2 years as to the role of non-resident commissioners in the city government. Because the mayor has given everyone the impression that the complaints that we raise here in this studio, in the newspapers of Black Westchester, in the pages of Black Westchester, and in the city council chamber were all baseless and manufactured lies. And as it turns out, at least from the allegations that were made by the Attorney General of New York State, that indeed it appears that Joe Spezio was padding Mayor Thomas's pockets in return for favorable treatment, including being appointed as the commissioner, as a high-ranking police commissioner, over the very department that is supposed to make sure that he acts in accordance with the law when doing his carding service. It was a clear conflict of interest.
Absolutely.
It was raised from the very moment that Rich got into office, and for 2 years he chose to ignore us and accuse people in this studio and many outside the studio of misleading the people. And in that sense, he is doubly guilty. The mayor has failed in his responsibility to act in accordance with the laws of the city charter, which require him to file honest, comprehensive financial statements. And that's another reason why people really need to hold him accountable and maintain, be engaged. Now, I also want to say this, because we said that not only was the mayor guilty of misfeasance, but all the city council persons who had turned a blind eye to the questions that we had raised were in fact duplicitous at the very least. Because the responsibility of the city council is to make sure, in part, we have a properly functioning board of ethics. They could have called hearings. They could have asked the mayor to present, properly filed financial disclosure forms. The mayor's financial filings were on record with the Board of Election, so there was knowledge, at least a very strong suspicion, before the Attorney General had to step in after 2 successive years of endless pleading to more vigorously enforce the city charter. And in that sense, I think that many of the current and former members of the Mount Vernon City Council are just as culpable in the breakdown of effective governance. And I hope going forward, that means that everyone is going to be doing their level best to, adhere with the law.
Well,
make sure those financial disclosure forms are filed.